Okay. And I was going to try to do a Facebook Live, but I didn't. So anyways, welcome. For everyone that's here and that may not know us yet, my name is Amita Kumar. I also have Beth and Melissa with me here, and we're super excited to start the year by discussing health goals. I know we all have New Year's resolutions, and I put that in quotation marks because those that know me know that I hate the word resolutions, not because it's wrong, but just because I feel like it sets me up for disappointment and failure every year. And I like the word goals, but I also really have been focusing much more on system versus the end outcome, if that makes sense. So today we're going to talk a little bit about goals, but we're also going to talk about the system that we need in order to get to our goals. So again, Beth is here. She's going to introduce herself in a minute, but I'll do a quick intro. She is a wellness coach and personal trainer, and she is part of our movement coaching. Melissa is Coach Melissa, guru of healthy meal prepping, kitchen edits, etc. And I don't even know what to tell you about her. I'm going to let her tell you all the things because it's over my head. So we have a group called Healthy Meal Preppers, and I hope that everybody has already joined our 21-day reset. And if you haven't, you can join anytime. It started November 1st, and then there was one that started December 1st, but we're also sort of like running with it because we know everybody has a different timeline, and that's okay. So everybody's always gung-ho in January, but we also want it to be something that can help you with momentum and learning and tracking, etc. So please don't feel like you're behind if you're starting this later than January 1st. If any of you saw my post from today, today's the 4th and not the 1st, and I'm okay with that. So I hope all of you are too. Here's my picture of all the things, right? Like weights and a stethoscope and medicine and stress reliever and apples and food and movement for runners and all those things. This is sort of overwhelming to me. It's a very pretty picture, but to me, it's like, oh yes, I'm going to do all the things all at once. And I mean, really, like, that's just not realistic.
The picture's not showing.
Oh, what?
It just shows us.
Oh, shoot. Okay, hang on.
There you go. That's good.
Okay, better. All right. Does that make, yes? Okay. Can you see the whole picture now?
Well, now
What do you
it's
see? No?
You're gonna have a picture in a picture right now.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see my speaker notes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
there you go.
There you go.
Are you saying you want me to wing it? Okay, here we go. So, all right, I don't have my speaker notes anymore. That's okay. Anyway, what I was saying was this is an overwhelming picture to me. It's very pretty, but overwhelming because I just don't think that I can do all the things all the time. And I think that this is one of those like, oh, it's such a balanced, beautiful picture that I have to remind myself that balance doesn't mean every single day necessarily, or maybe even every single week. You know, I think that the big thing about system and habit forming and balance is about little tiny steps often. So I hope that if nothing else, we learn about healthy habits and picking something maybe on a weekly basis, even not like I'm going to change this today. I'm going to add this today. Like every day, if you add a new thing, it's just not going to stick. It's very difficult to start a new habit or get rid of an old habit every single day. So just, this is the long-term goal of balance, but don't be overwhelmed. I just pick out like one piece of this at a time. One of the things about why goals are important. So yes, we all know goals are important because they give us a sense of focus, direction, inspiration even, right? But they also give us some amount of challenge. And again, I think that on January 1st, maybe even January 4th, it's relatively easy to be challenged and inspired to do better, right? But to take action, it really requires tiny goals every day that are actually habits. So I'm going to use habit and goal almost like interchangeably in the future. So just bear with me. Also, if anybody has questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat. And we'll be happy to answer as we go along, or we can, talk about it at the end. So one of the things that is important as we talk about the future is also about the past. I'm actually going to bring on Beth to tell us a little bit about what's important about looking back.
Okay, so I tried something this year, and I actually got my kids to do it with me. So I think what we do often, when the new year comes is we tend to set goals that focus on what is lacking and the areas where we feel we're not good enough, which kind of leaves us filled with this negative energy to start the year off. So what I had my kids and I do, is we decided that we sat down together and we pulled up our phones, and your phones have pictures from the whole year. So we went all the way back to a year ago in January, and we kind of took turns, kind of remembering what had happened each month. And so I had us kind of go through month by month and ask 3 questions. One is, what is something tough or challenging that, and it doesn't matter how big or small, that you did that month? And then the other question was, who's someone who did something for me? And again, doesn't matter how big or how small, that month. And then what's something nice that I did for someone else? Again, no matter how big or small, that month. And it was so fun to go and just, I mean, don't want to spend a lot of time about how fun it was, but it did give us a chance to totally recap our previous year. And it was an opportunity for us to look at, we had some challenges through the year, but also to just step back and look at all the blessings and just to have a moment of gratitude. So I think as we begin a new year, you have to give yourself grace and look at the positivity, and that you experienced throughout the past year, and remember how supported you were, from people, and then 2, how you helped others along the way. And I think that then can help you start the year off. I don't know, for me, it just kind of gave me that energy that, you know what, I do know what things I want to work on, but I know I've got the support to help me. And I can look back at my past year and just say, you know what, doesn't matter how I really feel I did at the end of the year, I did the best I could. And so I think that's important. And then as you go from there, it's just really, truly just kind of asking yourself, what is your why behind any goals that you set? And I think if you can really take the time to really think about why that goal is important to you, that's what's going to give you the motivation to stick with it. And it does, everyone's why is different. And so you truly have to just stop and say, okay, is this my why, or am I doing this because I think this is why I should do it? But truly find your why behind your goals, and kind of making a wellness vision. So you can vision yourself as that healthier person or whatever. And having that vision can help you stay focused too, as well. So here we go. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Beth. I think that brings us right to focus on your strengths, right? So it's really important that we don't fall into, I learned this term the other day, deficiency motivation. I think that it's human nature to be like, I have only done this much, so I want to do this much more. Like, I am not good enough, therefore I'm going to be better. As a physician, I've done a lot of deficiency motivation, meaning like, I'm not good enough, therefore I must be better, right? Like, it makes me try harder to do better the next day because I haven't done it already. But I find that at some point as you get older, that sort of like motivation that used to be there, I only got 80% on something, or I only did 20 minutes of something, at the gym or whatever, that no longer is motivating. Instead, it actually makes me feel bad about things. And then it just makes me realize I didn't complete my goal. And it's like, well, I guess if I didn't complete my goal, it's like all or nothing. And so I really want us to focus on our strengths and to build on the strengths. So, if you were doing one half an hour walk a month, okay, so you were doing 1/2 an hour walk a month. What about that walk worked? What about that work didn't work? Were you tracking your pulse? Were you tracking your steps. What were you like? Why did it happen? And why do you want to do more? Just like Beth said. There's a lot of ways to focus on goals. So one big thing, of course, is prevention. Again, I know that deficiency motivation can be a way to do this. Like, oh my gosh, I went to my doctor and my cholesterol was high, or my sugar was high, or my weight was high, or whatever, right? Like, but beating yourself up, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but beating yourself up actually only lasts so long. Eventually, beating yourself up just makes you feel bad about yourself. And then you just go back into this like cycle of, well, for me, it's like eating chips. That's my vice. Chips make me feel better very temporarily. But that's my thing. And then it's like, okay, now I just feel crappy again and my cholesterol is high again. And I don't know, it just didn't work. And then I don't sleep well. And then I drink more. And then I don't go to the gym as often because I'm like, screw it. Right. So like actually remembering your why. So for me, my long-term why, and actually probably my why for most things, is about being a healthier adult / parent and not suffering. As a primary care physician, death isn't really what scares me, not to be morbid, but actually suffering, right? Like and I think everyone can probably agree, like what's worse than actually dying of a stroke, having a stroke and being like completely disabled, right? So that is motivating to me. But also really just that I want to be active. Like I want to travel and I want to walk and I want to climb up the hill and I want to do all those things. And actually, I don't even notice sometimes that I've done all those things until, in fact, the other day, my husband's like, dude, you did 55 minutes on the elliptical and you were like chatting with me half the time. I'm like, maybe that means I'm not really doing that much on the elliptical. But actually that's not true. I mean, I had to look back, but see how I automatically went to like, oh, maybe I need to like try harder. No way. I used to do 2 minutes on the elliptical, and I'm not even kidding about this. 2 minutes on the elliptical, and I was like completely out of breath. So seriously, if I can do it, you can do it. Those that know me know that that's actually a true fact. 2 minutes on the elliptical is what I did 6 years ago. So tiny and I can do 55 minutes now. I think I've done 1 hour once. Okay. And then planning, right? Like, so because I'm the mindset coach, you're going to hear, I'm not the expert on exercise. That's Beth. I'm not the expert on food. I'm still a, Jedi in training. That's Melissa. But I am somebody who can put stuff on the calendar. I can order groceries from my phone and I can put gym on my phone and I can say, go to the grocery store on my phone. But unless it says what I want to get at the grocery store and what time I'm going to go to the grocery store, it's not happening. And so what time I'm going to exercise, what time I'm going to go to start getting my stuff ready for the gym. I mean, now on my calendar, it says go to gym. Okay. But it used to say, find your runners, find your yoga pants, find your whatever, like at 9 p.m. the night before, because set up your gym bag, get your water bottle. I mean, charge your AirPods. I mean, all those things, like seriously, all those things. And that's what habit stacking is about. For those that have seen or read Atomic Habits, you know what I'm talking about. And that's sort of what we talk about a lot. It's human nature. It's not rocket science. It's nothing super novel. James Clear is pretty amazing, but it's really not anything new. It's just catering to the human brain that we need tiny habits to stack upon to do all the things that we want to do. Just setting a goal of like reading a book a month. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I just end up cramming on day 28. That's just, but instead, what I told myself last year was I'm going to read 2 pages per day. And somehow, of course, that also meant like listen to a book 2 pages a day. But honestly, that just like translated into, I actually counted 10 books last year. It's crazy. I just counted it this morning. And it was not because I had a goal of a book a month. It was because I had a goal of 2 minutes of listening to a book a month or a day. Sorry, 2 minutes per day. Here's the actual outline of how to set goals. And I'm going to actually turn it over to Melissa because she's the one that does all the measuring in our group and also the specifics, right? So, Melissa, tell me what you think.
Yeah. So I think in our team, like you said, the 3 of us, although we have training in different areas, we kind of try to stay focused for the sake of the group in our specific area. I spend a lot of time with meal prep, actually physically planning for food, making food, and that type of thing. So the measurability is super important to me. But I want to take a step back because as I was thinking about this topic and goal setting, which I think, like you said, the resolution thing, I think there's so much pressure. And I don't necessarily love the word resolution, but what I do love is this idea of kind of resetting things that you had set for yourself 365 days ago. So for me, what I really love is going back to where I was at the same time last year. And I talk a lot about, I do use paper. I'm kind of one of those girls that I have a system that I love. And I don't even know if I'm calling it the right term, but I call it bullet journaling. It's kind of the concept of taking any journal, and it doesn't matter what you like. I mean, I'm at my kid's desk right now, so I have the comp book, but it doesn't matter what type of journal that you use. I have found for me that it's more about size, and I like graph paper a lot, so I use graph paper. But one of the things that I found that was really helpful in setting goals is I take the first couple pages of any journal and I write down, I literally just number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I'm numbering the pages of my journal. Okay. So then I can take any page, whatever that is, and I kind of take the next page. If I'm thinking about things that I want to do, things that I want to obtain, I kind of make that the header of that page. So Amita was talking about books. For me, I would create a page called books. And anytime somebody talked about a book that they had enjoyed, or I found something in my feed, I would go over to page 27 on my journal. And that's where I'm keeping track of all the books that I wanted to read. Now, at the top of the page, I would put some sort of comment there, which is, you know, for me, it's kind of replacing something with something. So maybe I'm going to spend less time scrolling and more page turning time or something like that. Just and going back to what Beth was saying, my why. Why is that a page that's important to me? Why do I want to spend more time reading flipping through a book versus scrolling through social media mindlessly? And I'm not saying that scrolling through social media is bad, but I use it mostly for work. I would say that's where I gain a lot of inspiration. What we talk about later in the 21-day challenge is literally specifics. So if I have one of my pages that says I want to be in a different size of clothes. I want 3 sizes, smaller clothes than where I am right now, for example. For me, I would write that page down, I want to be 3 sizes smaller than I am right now. But underneath that, and we'll talk about it more in the 21-day challenge and in other topics that we talk about, but we have to be very, very specific with the baseline. So on that page, of course, if I say that I want to be 3 sizes smaller, there are some things that I have to put in place that are going to help me measure that along the way. So top of the page, for me, the top of the page is the why, but then I can use the rest of that page to add in some of those things that I'm going to use to create those measurements. So like Dr. Kumar talked about is, going to the doctor, setting that baseline for what my health is right now. And then I'm going to measure that all along the way. And how fun is that going to be at the end of 2024 to take a look back at the beginning of that page and say, did I make headway along the way? Or did I just write it down at the top of the page and then I didn't have any more notes to go back to? When it comes to healthy eating, hey, I would really love to eat less sugar in my life, so that's the top of my page. I want to eat less sugar, but what are some of those things that I did? What are some of the things that I'm going to put into place? And for me, that's how using a piece of paper and starting with the what adding in the why, and then start adding in some of those measure, units of measure all inside of the same place, I find that it elongates the time that we spend looking at the future, which that's half of it right there. Half of the us getting to where we want to be is focusing on it. In my opinion, it's focusing on it because, like you, I mean, one of the things that I get so shocked at sometimes when I think about it, I had this goal that I wanted to cut down on sugar a little bit. This was years and years ago because I was realizing somebody told me something about those foof creamers, right? Like the foofy uh French vanilla, creamers that you put in your coffee. And someone told me once to go back and turn the bottle over to a serving size and measure out one serving size and put that in my coffee. And I took a drink of my coffee and I was like, ick, nope. And then it said, take a tablespoon and use a tablespoon and measure out how many servings you were actually using of that food creamer and then add up the sugar. So before 8 o'clock in the morning, I was like, what? I eat that much sugar before I've even started my day just because I free pour my own foof creamer. And that was like goal number one. And this is probably, I'm going to say it was probably 4 years ago. But that tiny little step of me deciding that I didn't want to put as much foof in my creamer made me that much more aware of how much sugar I consume in a day. And it really helped me start that relationship between turning a label over and measuring things. You know what I mean? So a tiny goal, believe it or not, like you were saying, Amita, about that stacks a habit. It's really true. Just starting somewhere and to make your goal broad and your why broad, but then take the rest of that year to kind of journal about it, to open that page again and see where you are and check in with yourself all along the year. Make it easy for you to find your notes and check in with yourself. So anyway.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, so I put this under twice. So this is, if you noticed, SMART goal setting. Apparently this is all over the place. And apparently this is also SMART goal setting. So specific, like you said, very specific, like turning over the labels, checking the back of the bottle, checking, just like actually gaining knowledge. I think that's like a big part of this. Learning about what's actually in your house, in your pantry, in your fridge, and then measuring, but also like, can you talk to us a little bit about attaining these goals? Like, so I'm going to show you. So for me, I made it specific, like my specific goal, okay, because this is not what I'm good at. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I'm human. I'm not the perfect, like me and Beth ran into each other on New Year's Day at the gym, and I'm like, Jesus, of course Beth is here. It took every ounce of me to like get to the gym, and she's like, I'm finishing my workout now. I'm like, man. But I was there though, right? Like I was, and I'm just gonna say I'm probably the most human one here. So I'm gonna say, for example, for me, cooking more healthy meals. Okay, so for me, the HelloFresh Green Chef is like the best box on the planet for me because it just makes me cook more. And unfortunately, I went through a period of time where I ordered them and I thought it was like magically going to just like appear, right? The meal. You still have to like figure out which meals you're going to get, what day you're going to get it delivered, what days you're going to be home to cook versus like on the weekend or not. And then also like it comes back again. Look, this is pre-populated. Always remember your why. And why do I want to do this? Again, because I'm working on the health of me, but I'm also trying to set an example for my children. So I use the same example for all of these. Is it measurable? So like literally, if I am ordering the box, I don't work for them, but I might as well. Like I want to know how many meals a week I'm actually cooking. And I automatically choose healthy meals. And so I don't really feel like that's the problem. Once I say cook healthy meals, more like eat healthy meal to me is a lot more broad and vague because then you're like, oh, that just means I could eat wherever. I just choose the healthy option, even if it's 775 calories, right? Or like, oh, the salad is 150 calories, but the dressing is like 500 calories. I learned that the hard way. For those of you in Texas, Bill Miller ranch dressing. Okay. No wonder it's so good. And again, like, what's the minimum that I'm going to consider my success? So again, don't set yourself up for failure, right? Like, if I don't cook 7 meals a day, 7 meals a week, like in the evening or whatever for my family, am I just gonna be like, oh, well, forget it then? Like, that's just a big fail. And I'm notorious for this. I'm an all or nothing person. My husband hates it. And it's like, okay, so let's just say that minimum 3 of my weekday meals need to be cooked at home, period. Then I'm like, that's a success. It doesn't mean I just like give up on the other days. It just means I'm on the right track. And then you just build up from that, actually. Is it attainable? Is it realistic, right? Like, how will I do this? When will I do it? And that's where the whole calendar comes back. I'm getting flagged that we're at the 30-minute mark. So I'm going to keep going for just 2 more minutes because I think we're almost there. But feel free to put us on 1.5 speed if you're listening to the replay. and hopefully it'll be more like 20 minutes and not 30. But again, like, I really think this is important. Is it actually attainable? I mean, truly, am I ever going to look like I did when I was 21 years old? I mean, do I want to look like I was when I was 21 years old? I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I mean, I never had a flat stomach. I never had a six pack. I was just like skinny because I was pre-child. So I don't know. But I gotta say, like, maybe I wish I fit into my cute pants from then, but I actually am stronger and way healthier. I mean, I used to eat fries and Coke and Doritos and pepperoni pizza for, like, and ranch dressing. I mean, like, I mean, I didn't eat anything healthy when I was 18, 19 years old. I was super skinny, but I don't think I want to be that person. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's like really true. I'm really, even though my cholesterol is higher and I'm 4 sizes bigger, I'm okay with it at the moment. I'm really, truly okay with it. So I hope that some of us out there are also okay with it. Like, truly, and I'm 42 now and menopause is like right there. Our bodies change and I'm okay with it as long as I am actually being healthy and not fooling myself. And then again, I'm sorry we keep harping on the why does this matter, but why does it matter? Why does this matter to you? For me, again, it's setting a good example for my kids and building the habits that I hope that my children can assume in their life. And I think we talked about this already, but time-based, I think I just put this in here because I think it's part of it, but it's also, for me, it's the measurable, attainable part, and focusing on the system. So at the end of this day, what is it going to look like? At the end of this week, what is it going to look like? At the end of this month, what is it going to look like? At the end of this quarter, what is it going to look like? And I say quarter because October, November, December is like really hard. And there's no point of shaming yourself over it. Just be realistic. What are you actually going to do in October, November, December? And give yourself some grace. Don't say you're never going to eat a brownie. Come on. That just sucks. Like, but decide what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it. And don't just be like, I've deprived myself for 9 months and therefore I'm going to eat whatever I want for the next month or two. Just decide what you're going to do and be intentional. Here's my plug for Atomic Habits, James Clear. This is online. He has like all these worksheets and I just pulled it out because I'm going to end here, but I also want to invite Beth and Melissa to chime in because I think I love the part about making it obvious. One big thing that I've been doing is cutting up fruit in the morning and just putting it on my counter. I've noticed that we still don't end up eating it all. Well, probably because I have grapes, cherries, and apples on there, and blueberries. But I definitely eat more. Like, I eat more apples than I ever did before because I've already cut them in the morning and they're there. And if you buy Honeycrisp ones, they don't turn brown as fast.
And they're delicious.
And they're delicious. And they cost $2 an apple. So
Right. So I want to make sure that because I never know where people are going to log in to see our videos, but I just kind of want to reiterate that the 21-day challenge that we put together for you all, it's a little tiny bit of tidbit of us. So what you see is a tiny little video at the beginning of every day. We kind of split up topics that we thought were important to focus on during that 21-day challenge. Each day has a different theme. You get about 3 to 5 minutes of one of us talking, and then we try to put together some points to go with the talk. We also, sometimes we have handouts that we attach to the email, but every single day, once you join the 21-day challenge, you get a little bit of us, not taking as deep of a dive, but this is one of our days, right? Goal setting is one of our days. So what you would get is maybe a 5-minute video that day of Dr. Kumar talking for a few minutes, a word from her underneath that. And it's literally, okay, today we're going to focus on goals. And then the next day might be, we're going to focus on hydration. The day after that might be doing a workout in your home, not having to physically go somewhere, but doing a workout in your home. Those are some examples of the topics that we cover in that 21-day challenge. So you can hop on at any time. It's kind of a self-guided, challenge. Hop on anytime. And we hope that it's super helpful and information like this, spending 5-7 minutes every day focusing on a new challenge for the day and focusing on you. We hope that that's helpful. So thank you so much for your time. And
I posted the link just now in our group. It's actually just at www.healthymealprepper.com, and then it's right at the top. I think we should maybe make it a little bigger actually, but it's right at the top of the website. You can just click it. You get a free everyday email with a video. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we'll see you on the inside.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
How do I stop the recording?